Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I am Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. Pardon me, I do have a cold, so if I sound like shit, that is why. Still, we are here to help you win some money on this Monday. It is only a 2-game slate over at DraftKings, but that still means we can win some cash if we do it right. So we're going to break this thing down for you. Also, kind of lock in some plays just to show you if you were to hand build a lineup or just kind of go that route, just to show you the top plays and how it kind of works into a lineup. If anything we do here helps you, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Our YouTube analytics show that we have a lot of repeat visitors that just don't subscribe. If you subscribe, that helps us out quite a bit. And also it alerts you to every video that we do. If you want that, you just got to turn on the notifications to get that. Also, you can get access to our Discord and all of our finalized picks for every sport that we offer. You just have to hit up our Patreon. It's just $5.99 for the entire month for everything that we do. And you can jump in and take advantage of that. All right, let's get to it here. Let's start point guard. Steph Curry naturally leads away with the best projection, 48 points, 48 fantasy point projection. Not really high ownership because it's only a 2-game slate and he is the most expensive play by far. He crushed with 65 fantasy points last time. He's been pretty darn good in the series. He's had 2 really good games. And it's still possible Jimmy Butler might not play, but it seems like he's trending towards returning. So why don't we just start off by talking about Curry? Like, how excited are you to pay for him? And where's your where are you reading things with Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to play on Saturday, so him being out was a bit of a surprise for me. I feel like he's likely to play tonight, but obviously I have no idea because I was wrong the other day about the same thing. And they won without him, so maybe there's less urgency for them to rush him back
right
after winning that game. But I guess we'll fucking see. I think either way, Curry's like a really good play, but you're going to be less excited to play him with Jimmy because Jimmy's going to be a good play if he's in. So, Curry's a good play. It's a small slate. There is always stuff at point guard, and there is again tonight. The early game has some very good point guard options as well that didn't quite work out on Saturday either. But, 9,500 is pretty full for Steph. I think you can argue that Hero, perhaps Mitchell, depending on what happens with Garland, is underpriced. Talking about Donovan Mitchell. And then Davion, while more expensive finally, is still arguably underpriced on DK for the 1,500th slate in a row. So I don't think Curry is like a must, but certainly a good play.
Yeah, I ended up cashing despite Donovan Mitchell being horrendous. 19 fantasy points, even with Garland out. That was annoying. Evan Mobley wasn't even that good. 35 fantasy points. It really was all about Ty Jerome and Max Strus for the Cavs. If you had those 2 guys in your lineup, you're well on your way to having some success. Once again, even if Garland is in, Ty Jerome at 5K flat is certainly in play. But like you said, Davion Mitchell's there. They got Podziemski. You even have Fred VanVleet for 1,000 more. I think those guys feel a little bit better if Garland's back, but Jerome would still be in play. And if Garland's out, of course, Ty Jerome would be core play territory. I'm with you on Davion. Still too cheap. Podziemski looks good in the same price range. Not that interested in Darius Garland if he's back. He's obviously not 100%. Not really a good matchup with, Davion being sicked on him and Spida in this series. With you on Hero being a good value, but Amen Thompson at $600 less. Like, Hero in a vacuum is just so cheap for the usage he provides, but really has not been a fun matchup for him in this series, like, at all. He was horrible in the last game. So like Amen, less ownership and having small forward eligibility is a little bit interesting there. If you had to pick between those 2 guys, who are you liking more?
I still throw as the primary, offensive maker on his team. He's going to get the usage. I understand the matchup's bad and they're on the verge of getting swept, but Miami's at home. I feel decent about it. Amen Thompson just hasn't gotten going this series. The Warriors have schemed for him pretty well, just keeping him out of the paint, forcing him to try to shoot, which is not his game. So I understand that Amen is underpriced, but so is Hero. I think I would just still rather take the shot on Hero given his role on the team.
All right, so if we're going through and we're building a lineup, trying to prioritize the top plays, who is your number 1 point guard to start with?
It's probably Davion, just because he's been starting, playing huge minutes. He's still under 6K. The role itself is just insane. I think Podziemski is similar at 5,500. I think those would be my first 2 into a lineup, followed by Hero, and then we'll see about Ty Jerome. Like, it would be Jerome if Garland is out. That's the first game of the night, so you can prepare for that. if that news breaks that way. With Cleveland on the verge of a sweep, I don't really see any reason they should force Garland back if it's too soon. So there's a pretty good chance we get a 5K Jerome again off the bench. And if so, that's the best value play on the slate.
Okay, so I'm in full agreement. I think you just have to wait and see whether Garland comes back or not. My lean would be Garland is not going to play in this game. They're up 3-zip, probably going to win this game and sweep them. What's the point in rushing him back? So I figure we lock in Jerome here, right?
Yeah,
right.
We'll probably come. I mean, we're probably gonna have multiple of these guys in the lineup. So I think it'd be between Jerome and Davion for me right now.
Absolutely. All right, let's kick it over to shooting guard. If Garland is out, we certainly should entertain being overweight on Donovan Mitchell. 34%, really bad game last game. Hasn't really been great in the series. Like, how's he been doing so far?
He was really good in games 1 and 2, and then
was it? Oh yeah, you're right. He was really good in games 1 and 2. I forgot that he was putting up 50 fantasy points per game. Unbelievable. So yeah, with that in mind, like I think like that's more of like a fluky performance in game 3. Like I wouldn't be that concerned. A little bit surprised his ownership is that high already. If Garland's back, I don't have any interest really, but if Garland is out, we can certainly go right back to the well. And honestly, after him, like he has the best floor and ceiling of all the shooting guards. Like it gets really bad, quite a free fall. It is only a 2-game slate. There's not a lot of great options. I do think as far as value goes and like the guys we're going to get to, like Davion and Pod, which would just be, that's where I'd go first at shooting guard. Like if I come back to Donovan with no Garland, like I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with landing on him. But I feel like Podziemski with or without Butler looks really good. Without Butler, he looks amazing. And Davion is just going to be a rock solid play no matter what happens. So my vote would be to start with Davion here, but I'm game for Pod as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have Davion. Nice to have both of them at shooting guard. I don't think we've had Davion at shooting guard before. So that is nice. No. I also think Jalen Green is a phenomenal play. Like I understand that he's been awful in 2 of the 3 games, and if his shots aren't falling, he's not going to do anything, OG Anunoby style. But, the role's going to be there. He's going to get the usage. It's just a matter of whether the shots are going in, which they may not. But I'm willing to take a shot on that at 6,900. But overall, certainly it's Pods or Davion here if you're building like a core. And then you kind of, if you fit Jalen Green or Donovan Mitchell later on, that's all great. I guess you could take a flyer on fucking Sam Merrill again if
no
Garland's out. He started, but
he was so
obviously
bad.
A very low floor. And then I think Buddy, if Jimmy's out, is something you can consider also.
Yeah, for sure. I think even Gary Payton, just because he's going to get 15 to 20 minutes. And then there is Max Strus. There is Moses Moody. Like, I don't have a problem with rostering those guys. We're just trying to identify, like, clear priorities at each position as we go. And those guys are fine, but they're not, like, guys we absolutely have to have. They're more like tournament plays. The thing with Jalen Green, like, Price is great. Game 2 showed his upside. What do you have, like 60 fantasy points? He was amazing. So, in the other 2 games, though, he's had under 10 real points scored. So he is just as volatile as it gets. So I don't really love the idea of playing into ownership when it comes to him. So I think he would be more interested if his ownership was significantly lower. I'd say right now we can start off with, with Davion to get going. And Pod is sitting there waiting to bat. At small forward, Jimmy Butler just looks like the play, man. He just looks like the best play, honestly, of the entire slate. Assuming he's actually at full strength, 8.2 is way too cheap, and he's gonna be really owned. But it's 2 games. Like there's just gonna be some bodies that you have to pay for that other people are gonna be playing, and Jimmy is one that I do not mind doing that with.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to do tonight with only 2 games instead of 4. But if you're gonna play Jimmy, you obviously have to have multiple spots open to make the appropriate pivots. I guess you could just straight line down to Amen Thompson, but you're eating a lot of salary if you only have 1 spot. Certainly Jimmy's the best play overall if he's in. There's a chance he's hobbled. So like he's going to project well because the projections don't account for him having a bad pelvis or whatever. So I don't think he's a must if he's in, especially if he's going to be like 60-something% owned. Fading him could be a way to get an edge. And there is other stuff at small forward. I think Andrew Wiggins, despite being pretty underwhelming overall in the series, still the minutes are usually pretty safe. Small forward just being a generally weak position. But you can save money with guys like Strus, Hunter, if Darius Garland is out. Highsmith is okay. Gary Payton's really popping. even now with Butler projected to play, he's just so cheap that I think it's okay. Tari Eason, maybe he's cheap, but the minutes really haven't been there in the series. So I think Wiggins would be my preferred pivot from Butler. But if you want to lock in Butler there, I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think that the thing with Butler is, okay, they're up 2-1. Like, if he's going to play, I would imagine he's just ready to rock. Like, there's no, like you said before, there's really no reason for him to rush it if he's not 100%. So if he's in, I'm pretty in on Butler. Obviously, though, like in the name of Bobby Portis, like the other day when he was 73% owned, you could certainly fade and gain monster leverage. But I am going to say, let's go Jimmy to get things going here. All right, power forward, Bam leads the way. He's obviously a pivot off of Jimmy. Both are going to be very, very owned by the looks of it. I'm not that excited to play Bam. It's not really a good matchup. It's a closeout game. They're probably going to get smoked, and the series is going to be over. I don't feel like super excited to pay a premium for him. That said, high usage, decent price, really good projection.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think Mobley is a pretty good play again. Like, he's been very underwhelming in the series, especially in the last game when Garland was out. His usage has been way down. Jared Allen smashed instead of Mobley in the last one. The Cavs, like, secondary guys got there in the last game, and the Stars really didn't, which was kind of annoying. I think you can just fully punt it, though. Like, Jovic at 3.7. He's been playing 20-ish minutes off the bench. Not a great, like, fun play, and plus the Heat's rotations are generally very volatile. But 3.7, not a lot of punt value we have on the slate. Kind of a weak position. Like, I'm with you on really loving extreme Bam chalk as underdog against the Cavs. I think Hunter's fine. Like, in the games without Garland, or in the game without Garland, he was awesome. The games with Garland, his minutes have really been down. I think you can do that, though. Either way, I think he's fine just because he's so cheap. And I keep going back to the Dylan Brooks well, like, just a pretty decent. He's been okay, like shooting the ball well. The minutes are always safe, assuming he avoids foul trouble or rejection. So if you want to stay with him, okay. I think Jovic overall will be my favorite punt, though.
Yeah, I'm looking for reasons to get away from Bam. I see one clear way to do that on this slate, and that is Şengün, who's coming in with no ownership. I like to have a Mobley call too, just because he's $700 cheaper and apparently going to be completely unowned. Kind of glossing over Dre here, though. Like, if Jimmy is out, a little extra usage for Dre, more playmaking for Dre. He's not expensive. Even if Jimmy is in, like, Dre is still a solid play. Probably going to get you 30, 35 fantasy points with a floor, and then he does have like triple-double upside. So I would just slide in, a mention for Dre. I'm with you on Dylan. Like, if I had to go away from Bam here and feel reasonably good about a value, I think Dylan's the first one that stands out. In a close game, he's probably going to get 30, maybe 35 minutes if he's avoiding foul trouble. And he can pop off as a scorer too. So that's probably where I would go. I do like the DeAndre Hunter thing if Garland is out. I think that's still a solid try as well. So I'm not super excited about Jovic at what is he, 3.7K. I just feel like he's a major dice roll.
Yeah, I mean, they all kind of are when you're under 5K on this slate. It's just a pretty weak position, which I think is why everyone's just playing Bam. But going away from that, I think is fine. Like, if you want to slot Brooks in, I'm okay with that.
All right, let's do Brooks for now. Obviously, people can switch it to Jovic if they want to as well. All right, so at center, Bam. This is where I see the pivot to Şengün. Obviously, if the ownership's going to be there, like same price, basically same projection, and just a major ownership gap. I think you said it best, man. Like, they're going after Bam because there's nothing else to really be excited about at power forward. My big thing is, like, I don't want to fade Jimmy if he's in. I want to fade Bam. Like, I want to go down to Evan. I want to drop all the way down to Dre. I want to go get Dylan Brooks. Like, that's what I want to do in a lot of my lineups, and that's kind of what we're illustrating right now. So at center, like, my first play is Şengün. I love Şengün here. Monster upside. He's been doing well in the series. He can have a massive ceiling. And then if I don't go there, I think Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Draymond Green, all those guys are totally rock solid. Have nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, I think my favorite is Allen, just for the savings, like good mid-range salary. The minutes, now that they're in the playoffs, are going to be a lot more reliable. If Garland's out, that's just a bonus for him. But even if Garland is in, I'm okay with it because he's a little bit underpriced. Otherwise, I'm kind of looking at punts again. Jovic and Steven Adams both pulling ownership, which I don't love, but there's not a lot to love in terms of salary savers. So, Adams in a 20-ish minute roll off the bench is not a safe play, but he's a good enough per minute guy to get there for you.
Yeah, certainly a dice roll. I'm with you on Jared Allen. Obviously, the price is really nice. Even when he's not playing full minutes, when the games are getting out of hand, he's still kind of getting there technically. And I don't feel great about paying up for Cavs guys in a game like this, a fourth game where the sweep is coming. But he is cheap enough, like him and Jerome. They're cheap enough to where like I don't feel like the risk is very high. And then look at the projection gap. Like there's no gap between him and Evan Mobley, really. So if you're going to play one of those Cavs bigs, I just think Jarrett Allen is the play. The only issue is he's going to be a little bit owned, but I'm okay with it. So if you want to lock in Jarrett, we can do that.
Let's do it.
All right. So we got our main plays at each position. Now we can kind of roll and let the lineup optimizer produce the best possible lineup here, and then we'll look at the ownership and see if we want to get really different. Like right now, we don't know what's going to happen with Garland. So Ty Jerome is only 12% ownership. Who knows what that's going to be? Dylan Brooks is kind of low at 22. Jared Allen's not egregiously high for a 2-game slate at 38. Like those three guys are obviously getting us different enough right now. We'll see what else comes out as far as the last three positions. I'm betting Bam is in there. And sure enough, he is. He is the top play in there with Tyler Hero. I don't feel great. Actually, the top lineup has your boy Jovic there. So that's fun to see. But the optimal so far has guys we already like. Well, we did lock him in, I guess. I guess that's why. But no, but Hero and Bam together feels a little bit gross. How do you feel about that?
2-game slate, so it's kind of hard to have too many qualms with it. Like Hero's clearly underpriced. I think Bam is maybe a little bit underpriced. If you want to, I mean, Bam's in basically every other optimal lineup. Like if you want to X them out and see what it gives you, then you can try that.
Yeah, we can try and see what is different from there. And you already like Jovic, so that's okay. I don't have a problem with it. I agree. If it's a 2-game slate, so if you want to pair the Heat guys, like, hey, if the Heat guys are going to win, odds are pretty good that Hero and Bam are going to have pretty decent games. So I'm okay with it, but you do have to get different somewhere. So as things stand, like if the Jovic ownership picks up, like we probably want to do something that gets us a little bit more different, no?
I mean, you can't really go too off the board on a 2-game slate. So like your aggregate ownership is going to be really high no matter what essentially you do, unless you just play someone with a projection of 0. I guess you can see what pops up. Pajimski, Hero, Wiggins. I don't mind that. I mentioned liking Wiggins at small forward.
We both like Pajimski as well, and Jimmy is just a chalk guy. Like, I mean, I think just right off the top, like you don't have to fade these guys entirely, but going underweight on Jimmy or Bam obviously is a really good way to get some leverage immediately.
That second lineup projects nearly as well as less ownership. Donovan Mitchell in there, Jovic, and Tyler Hero. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, if Garland is in, I feel less excited about Mitchell, but like you said, he has been doing well in the series.
But if Garland is in, I think Mitchell might actually be somewhat contrarian. So, I mean,
he definitely would be.
Garland was there, and he still got there. So, like, I think it's okay for 8-5.
Absolutely, to get different, because obviously if Garland's out, Mitchell's going to garner ownership.
I think I'd rather play Mitchell at 35% ownership than 60% on Bam.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said,
if
I'm going to eat expensive chalk, it's going to be Butler. And then I also just like the idea of leaving open a slot. So if Butler's out, you could go down to Amen, you could go up to Curry. Like you can just switch it up a little bit. If you're stacking one game, though, which game are you prioritizing here?
Probably the first one. I just feel like the salaries are a little more friendly. We could value the Cavs injury news. I mean, obviously you can get some with Butler, but I feel better about the Cleveland value, Hunter, Strus, Sam fucking Merrill, I guess, than I do about Gary Payton and Buddy Hield and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I mean, stacking both is viable. They both on 2 fucking game slate. You can do anything you want essentially.
That's true. Okay, so it just gives you an idea of how you can construct things a little bit, and then you can kind of just play with that going forward. Who is your flag plant of the night? If you have one play that you're for sure playing everywhere or just about everywhere.
It's probably Hero. I feel like people are going to be afraid to go back to the well after he struggled. They're underdogs. They might be eliminated tonight. I think, he's clearly underpriced, but people are going to see the game log and think, they're going to get blown out again. He's not going to get there, but he's extremely owned as of now. So it's not like he's a low owned play, but I just feel like in terms of salary discrepancy compared to where he normally is, he was like upwards of 9K like a week ago.
Right.
I just think Hero is a really strong play again tonight.
I totally agree. When you factor in the price and the recency bias, I wish the ownership was more reflective of that for sure. But just everything else does make him feel like a better play than Bam. And if I am going up, Jimmy Butler would be the first guy that I actually feel pretty good about at 8.2. Just way too cheap, and the projection's really good. For GPPs, though, I love Şengün. I think Donovan Mitchell could end up being a good contrarian play if Garland is in. But just as things stand, Şengün, a pivot off of Bam, feels like one of the best plays of the entire slate in terms of ceiling and low ownership. All right, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Another thing you can do if you're using an optimizer, by the way, you can kind of just go in here and obviously unlock any of these dudes and then just lower your ownership. If you want 100% ownership, drop it down to 70 and so forth, and like max, kind of control how much of these guys are being popped into your lineups. All right. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and take advantage of everything we have to offer over at Patreon for just $5.99 a month. Thanks for watching, and good luck.